what lies beyond the final boundary of the observable universe. A question like a cold wind drifting from a place where light has never arrived, where space stretches endlessly and seems to quietly gaze back at us. Tonight we step into a journey to uncover that silent darkness, a promise that may stir the heart with astonishment. Share your thoughts in the comments below so this conversation can become a sky of its own. And now, let us move toward the edge of all understanding. Is it a wall built from the limits of light and time, or a threshold we were always meant to cross? Somewhere beyond the reach of every telescope and radio dish lies a realm untouched by photons, unseen by human eyes, unknown to our equations. In that direction, where the map fades into silence, might rest the most profound answers we've never known to ask. Carl Sagan once said, "Somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known." And what could be more incredible than discovering the boundaries we thought were real were never boundaries at all? From where we stand on this fragile rock suspended in black velvet, our observable universe stretches 46 billion light-years in every direction. A luminous bubble of everything we've ever seen or measured. A tapestry of galaxies frozen in flight by the finite speed of light. But beyond that cosmic shoreline lies an ocean of possibility, an expanse where space itself continues without pause. Not bound by our sight, but perhaps filled with stories, civilizations, or laws of physics that have never touched our world. Theoretical physicist Alan Guth once described the inflationary model as the moment when the universe became exponentially vast in a blink. And if that's true, then the part we see is but a tiny thread in a cosmic quilt we'll never fully unravel. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff at dusk. Beneath you is the world you know, full of stars and spirals, and light-years catalogued by minds as brilliant as Hubble and Lemaitre. But in front of you is a chasm of soft darkness, where time may fold differently and light may never return. That is the horizon of the observable universe, a limit not of existence itself, but of perception. Stephen Hawking once noted that the universe has no edge in space, and no beginning or end in time. Only horizons that recede as we chase them. It's a haunting idea that what we call the edge is only a shadow of our limitation, not a feature of reality. As I sit beneath the night sky and let these thoughts drift like interstellar dust across my mind, I wonder if the edge is not out there at all, but within us. In the way we cling to certainty in a universe made of change, in how we crave boundaries where there may be none. Consider the photons from galaxies so far away their light will never reach us, not because they do not exist, but because the space between us stretches faster than light can travel. They are real, and yet forever invisible. Present, and yet absent. It reminds me of something said by physicist Sean Carroll. We are part of the universe that is just one way the universe is able to know itself. And perhaps it's not the seeing that matters most, but the knowing that there is more to be seen. Some cosmologists propose that the universe is not only vast but infinite. Others say it may curve gently upon itself, like the surface of a sphere in dimensions beyond our comprehension. If either is true, then the edge is a phantom, a mirage produced by time and light and the slowness of our unfolding awareness. But what lesson lies there for us who look up from Earth with ancient eyes and beating hearts? It may be this: that wonder is not the result of discovery but its origin. That the edge is not a place but an invitation. A whisper from the universe itself to come closer. In my quiet moments I imagine that beyond the observable cosmos there are colors our minds cannot render. Patterns too vast to trace. and perhaps stories being told in alien tongues on planets spinning in gravity wells we will never reach. But even without seeing them, we are connected by mathematics, by stardust, by the very laws that knit time to space and make being possible. I do not believe the edge is empty. I believe it is pregnant with mystery. And like the pregnant pause in a symphony, it is not silence at all, but the music preparing to begin again. So what lies at the edge of all understanding? Possibly nothing new. Possibly everything we've never dared imagine. And maybe, just maybe, it is not the end of our reach, but the beginning of our return to something deeply forgotten. As Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "The future enters into us in order to transform us, long before it happens." So too does the edge of the universe enter our thoughts, bending the soul toward questions it cannot yet answer. Let that be enough tonight. To sit in the starlight and wonder, to float in thought beyond the rim of vision, and to remember that the universe is not done speaking. Not yet. What is the observable universe, and why is it so heartbreakingly finite? This question lingers like the afterglow of a dying star, soft yet haunting, calling us to look up and wonder if what we see is all there is. The observable universe, that delicate sphere of light and memory, spans 93 billion light-years across. Not because the cosmos is that young, but because the universe expands while light travels, stretching the fabric of space like a dream pulling away from waking thought. We are limited not by what exists, but by what can reach us. Light is our messenger and memory, our only thread to the distant past. But it has limits, and we clever children of Earth have only been listening for a blink in cosmic time. The furthest whisper we've heard is the cosmic microwave background, the CMB, an ancient afterglow of the Big Bang itself, 13.8 billion years old, yet visible in all directions. It is not a wall. It is a veil of fire cooled to silence. A final photograph taken when the universe was only 380,000 years old. Physicist Max Tegmark once said, "Our entire observable universe is a speck of dust in a much larger reality." And indeed it is. A glowing island of galaxies drifting in a sea of darkness we cannot cross. The speed of light is not just a speed, it is a boundary. A sacred horizon between what can be known and what must remain imagined. And yet we imagine anyway, because imagination is the echo of memory before it is born. We map galaxies as far as we can see, and the shape of the universe reveals itself not as a simple ball, but as a tangled web of filaments and voids, as if the cosmos were spun from ancient silk by some silent architect we cannot name. Every star we see is part of this visible domain. Every nebula captured by telescopes like Hubble and James Webb is part of this shared cathedral of sight. But outside it, just beyond it, is more universe. Maybe infinite. Maybe curved back onto itself. Or maybe branching into domains that no photon from this one will ever reach. Brian Greene reminds us, the universe is not only queerer than we suppose, it is queerer than we can suppose. And perhaps that is the point. Not to conquer what lies beyond, but to learn humility in the face of what we will never see. The observable universe is not the whole universe. It is only the part that has had time to speak to us. And what a song it sings! Ripples in hydrogen clouds. The echo of recombination. A lullaby composed in silence and distance, and the fading warmth of the origin itself. We often imagine our place in the cosmos as central, But the truth is more poetic than that. We are not at the center of the universe. We are at the center of our light cone. A private island of information unique to our coordinates in space and time. A personal bubble of reality drawn by the speed of light and the age of existence. This is both beautiful and tragic, for it means we will never see most of what exists. And yet it also means that our perspective is utterly unique. Some say the universe is like a book, and we are just beginning to turn the first pages. Others say it is more like a mirror, reflecting back only what we're capable of understanding at any given moment. But I think perhaps it is more like a memory foam mattress left by time itself, where gravity presses in, patterns we try to decode with trembling fingers, lying awake at night under cold stars. The lesson is this: our curiosity does not end at the edge of vision. It begins there. The observable universe is not a prison. It is a window, and while it frames the light that enters our minds, it cannot contain the vastness of our wonder. To stand on the edge of sight and ask what lies beyond is not arrogance, it is the oldest prayer of intelligence. If you close your eyes tonight and breathe with the stars, remember that the photons striking your skin may have traveled billions of years just to find you, across voids and turbulence and entropy, carrying the story of a universe that refuses to stay silent. The observable universe is not the end of space. It is the beginning of understanding. And beyond it lies more than space. Beyond it lies the next question, waiting to be asked. What if the edge of the universe is not a wall, but a whisper, a soft boundary between knowing and unknowing, where space itself outruns light, and time becomes an echo we cannot follow? The cosmic horizon is not made of stone nor fire. It is not a wall that blocks our way, but a veil woven from the limits of light's own journey, a horizon not of substance but of sight. We cannot see beyond it not because nothing lies there, but because the light from those distant places has not had time to arrive, and perhaps never will. Beyond roughly 46 billion light-years in every direction, space expands so swiftly that even beams of light racing since the birth of the cosmos are forever held back, like messages tossed into a river that has already outrun its shore. In this great silence beyond the horizon, something stirs. Astronomer Edward Harrison once wrote, "The observable universe is like an island in an infinite ocean of space, and we are castaways on that island, mapping every tree and stone, never knowing what lands might lie beyond the misty sea." To stand beneath a starry sky and ask where it ends is to step beyond astronomy and into greater philosophy, into poetry, into wonder itself. Because this boundary is not the end of the universe, only the end of what we can observe. Beyond it could lie more galaxies, more stars, perhaps entire cosmic structures beyond imagination. Stephen Hawking once said, "We are just an advanced breed of monkeys on a minor planet of a very average star. But we can understand the universe. And perhaps in trying to reach the horizon, we are reaching toward ourselves." The horizon expands every second, not because light moves faster, but because the very fabric of space is stretching like a dream being pulled open. And in this expansion, new regions of the cosmos drift forever beyond our grasp. Imagine a mountain range forever cloaked in fog. You know it's there from the hints of shadows and echoes, but you will never walk its ridges, never feel the rock underfoot. And yet it exists, not for us, not because we see it, but because reality is not confined to what enters our eyes. That is the paradox of the horizon. It shows us the shape of the possible and hides the depth of the real. When we look at the cosmic microwave background, we see the farthest light ever to reach us. A ghost image of the universe when it was only 380,000 years old. But even then, the seeds of the horizon were already sown. Some cosmologists suggest that there may be infinite universes beyond our own, like bubbles in an endless sea, each one wrapped in its own horizon, forever apart, forever unknown. And still, we try to peer beyond, not with telescopes alone, but with equations, with metaphors, with dreams. Brian Greene wrote, "The universe is not only queerer than we suppose, it is queerer than we can suppose, and perhaps the horizon is where that truth begins. The farther we look, the deeper we fall into time itself, seeing galaxies not as they are, but as they once were, flickers of ancient light still drifting across the ocean of darkness. And just as sailors of old chased the edge of the world, only to find it circling back on itself, so too might we find that the horizon is not a wall, but a loop, a lens, a mystery that invites us in rather than keeps us out. In this silence, the universe does not shout answers. It whispers questions, and in listening, we become more than observers. We become participants in the unfolding of the cosmos. So what lies beyond the horizon? Perhaps more space, perhaps other universes, or perhaps the realization that the truest journey is inward, toward the source of the question itself. The horizon is not the end of the map. It is where the map becomes myth, where science becomes poetry, and where curiosity becomes the engine of creation. And so we drift onward, gentle travelers on a pale blue dot, listening for the edge of everything. Let us not fear the horizon. Let us bless it, for it teaches us that wonder has no boundaries, and the unknown is not a wall to be broken, but a mirror in which we see our truest selves. What if the universe we see is only the beginning? What if beyond the farthest galaxy our telescopes have ever glimpsed, space does not end but flows outward in an endless river of stars we will never see? We are taught that the observable universe is vast, some 93 billion light-years across, but it is merely a sphere of light bounded not by walls but by time itself. Light has had only 13.8 billion years to reach us since the Big Bang, and everything farther away remains hidden in the mist, night. But this boundary is not the end of existence, only the limit of our current knowledge. Space continues beyond this horizon like an ocean whose far shores have yet to be imagined. Reality is not only stranger than we suppose, astrophysicist J.B.S. Haldane once said, it is stranger than we can suppose. And in the vast stillness beyond our horizon may lie realms utterly unlike our own. Galaxies never touched by our light. Forces never measured. Rules never written in our physics textbooks. The reason for this continuation lies in the very nature of space itself. Since the earliest moments after the Big Bang, space has been expanding not into anything but stretching its own fabric outward in all directions, faster than the speed of light in its earliest moments. And while we can only see a finite part of it today, the total universe could be infinite, or nearly so. Like standing in a valley surrounded by fog, what we see is not all there is. Cosmologist Max Tegmark suggested that the universe is not only bigger than we imagine, it is bigger than we can imagine. This expansion continues even now, with space itself growing between galaxies, pushing the distant ones further away at accelerating speeds due to the mysterious force of dark energy. Some galaxies are already receding from us faster than the speed of light, not because they move through space so quickly, but because the space between us and them stretches faster than light can cross it. And so their light will never reach us. Not now. Not ever. They are lost to us forever, but not gone. Beyond this boundary, what might exist? Perhaps a copy of our own region, with stars and galaxies similar to ours. Perhaps even another Earth. Or perhaps something altogether different, a region where galaxies never formed, where the laws of physics play to another rhythm. Inflation theory suggests that in the earliest fraction of a second of the universe's birth, space underwent a period of explosive expansion, creating regions that are forever disconnected from one another. Isolated cosmic islands in a boundless ocean. We may live on one such island, surrounded by a darkness that no telescope will ever pierce. But this darkness is not emptiness. It is potential. It may contain galaxies that will never know us, civilizations that will never hear of Earth, lights that will never cross the abyss between us. As physicist Brian Greene once said, our visible universe is a mere speck in a vastly larger cosmos. And still we ask what else is out there. Could other dimensions curl beyond our reach? Could there be other bubbles, other universes floating beside ours in a higher dimensional space? The multiverse idea suggests that our universe may be just one of many, each with its own physical constants, its own story. And if so, then the region beyond our horizon may not just be more of the same, it may be the edge of a higher reality entirely. A canvas so vast it dwarfs all human thought, where creation continues forever in silence. Yet even if the cosmos beyond our view holds no galaxies, no stars, no beings, it still matters, because it reminds us that we are part of something larger than comprehension itself. As Carl Sagan once whispered to the stars, somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. And that somewhere may lie just beyond the veil of what we can ever observe. So we stare into the sky not just to see what's there, but to wonder what is not. The silence is not a denial. It is an invitation. An invitation to humility, to curiosity, to awe. For space does not end where our vision fades. It flows on like a dream, continuing after the dreamer wakes. And somewhere in that unlit distance, the universe is still unfolding, still becoming, still calling us to follow. And so we continue, one question at a time, toward the edge of knowing and the beginning of mystery. What lies beyond? Perhaps not an end, but a deeper kind of beginning. How much of the universe are we truly seeing? If what we observe is merely a drop in an ocean of light, then how vast must the entire sea be? This question has haunted astronomers ever since we learned to measure the cosmos itself, to draw maps of the visible universe and count galaxies like fireflies in a darkened field. But even our grandest instruments, telescopes that peer across billions of light years, may only scratch the surface of a cosmic expanse that defies all proportion. According to the standard model of cosmology, supported by measurements of the cosmic microwave background and the geometry of space itself, the observable universe is merely a fraction of the total cosmos. Some estimates suggest that what we see, our cosmic horizon, is just 1/250th of the whole, like a speck of dust mistaken for the Earth. The reason lies in the shape of space, a subtle curve so faint it may as well be flat. And if space is flat on large scales, as current observations from the Planck satellite indicate with remarkable precision, then it could be infinite in extent. In an infinite universe, not only is everything possible, it's guaranteed to happen somewhere, said astrophysicist Max Tegmark of MIT. His words echo through this inquiry like the call of something both beautiful and terrifying. If true, this means that far beyond the edge of what we can detect, beyond the 46 billion light-years of radius that define our observable realm, the universe continues without end, in all directions. This idea is not fanciful speculation, but grounded in data from the Wilkinson microwave anisotropy probe and its successor, Planck, which show that the overall curvature of space is astonishingly close to zero. If it were positively curved like a sphere, the universe would be finite and closed. If negatively curved like a saddle, it would be open and infinite in a different way. But flatness suggests we're living in a cosmos that might never loop back upon itself. A boundless plain of galaxies and dark matter stretching into forever. There's something strangely poetic about this possibility, as if the universe were a canvas too large for any single frame. We look out from a tiny point within it, like a lone lantern in a vast cave, casting light just far enough to wonder what lies beyond the glow. Cosmologist Alan Guth once reflected, our observable universe could be just one patch of a much larger quilt, each patch expanding from its own Big Bang, each horizon bounded by the speed of light and the age of time. But together, they form something immeasurably grander than our eyes will ever behold. Somewhere beyond our cosmic event horizon, galaxies continue to exist, moving with the flow of space-time, their light forever out of reach. Entire clusters of stars may form, burn, die and be reborn without ever sending a single photon to Earth. And yet they are as real as the ones we see overhead each night. The concept of a universe 250 times larger than what we observe may sound like exaggeration, but it emerges directly from the math of inflation theory and cosmic geometry. The idea that space is expanding everywhere, and has been since the first fractions of a second after the Big Bang, naturally leads to the conclusion that we live inside a bubble that keeps growing, while outside it, more and more space is unfolding with every heartbeat of cosmic time. And yet, we will never see that space, not because it isn't there, but because its light will never reach us. The expansion of space is faster than the speed of light beyond a certain distance, meaning information from those regions is forever lost to us, not hidden by dust or obscured by gas, but erased from our reality by the structure of the universe itself. In that sense, the cosmic horizon is not just a distance. It is a destiny. A boundary written not in stone but in the laws of physics. And still we wonder. Still we ask, what lies beyond it? Could there be other structures, other forces, even other versions of reality unfolding just out of sight? Could we someday develop tools to infer the presence of these unreachable domains, perhaps through subtle gravitational tugs or cosmic background irregularities? Or is the truth more humbling that the universe is so vast and indifferent, so beautifully indifferent, that we will spend our short cosmic lifetime gazing toward an edge that will never move closer? And yet, isn't that the essence of curiosity? To ask even when the answer may never come? to explore not for certainty but for the poetry of pursuit? Carl Sagan once said, "Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known." Perhaps the true grandeur of a universe larger than we can observe is not in its scale, but in what it asks of us: patience, wonder, and the courage to face infinity with open eyes and an open heart. Out there, beyond the starlight and the cosmic background's whisper, is not a wall, but a mystery that keeps expanding as we do. And maybe, just maybe, the horizon isn't where the story ends, but where imagination begins. What if our universe is just a bubble, floating quietly in a boundless sea of others, each with its own laws, its own beginnings and endings, its own version of reality? We have long believed in the singularity of our cosmos, a one and only universe with rules we strive to understand. But modern physics whispers of something far stranger, a cosmic landscape where the Big Bang was not a unique event, but merely one breath among many in an eternal rhythm of creation. This idea comes not from science fiction, but from the edges of our most trusted theories. Eternal inflation, as described by Flow physicist Alan Guth, paints a picture of the early universe expanding faster than light in a brief moment of unimaginable energy. But that expansion never completely stops everywhere. Instead, it continues eternally in some regions, spawning pocket universes, bubbles each sealed from the others by space still inflating between them. We live inside one such bubble, calm now, cooled down, its chaotic beginnings hidden in the ancient glow of the cosmic microwave background. But outside ours, inflation may still rage on, carving out new universes with different properties, different physics, different stories that will never be told here. As cosmologist Max Tegmark put it, our universe is not just a storybook, it's a library. And in this library of bubbles, each book follows a different script, shaped by random quantum fluctuations at its birth, sculpted by different values for gravity, electromagnetism, or even the number of dimensions. Some of these universes might collapse seconds after birth. Some might stretch in silence forever. And some rare, few like ours, might balance just right to allow the slow miracle of life to unfold. A narrow path through a jungle of chaotic possibilities. This perspective reframes everything we know. If the multiverse is real, then the question, why does the universe seem fine-tuned for life, may not require design or destiny. It may simply be selection bias. We exist in a universe that permits life because only such universes allow beings like us to ask questions at all. Nobel laureate Steven Weinberg once said, "The more the universe seems comprehensible, the more it also seems pointless." But the multiverse adds nuance to that sadness. The seeming arbitrariness of our universe is not meaningless, but a window into a much vaster realm of possibility. We must imagine a structure far beyond any telescope's reach. Not a flat expanse, but a foamy sea of universes forming and fading like waves crashing beyond a dark horizon. Our bubble is one crest among many, fragile, suspended, and brief. And yet within this bubble, something happened that may be rare among the infinite ensemble of realities. Consciousness awoke, eyes looked up at the stars, and voices began to wonder what lies beyond the dome of their sky. The multiverse theory does not lessen the beauty of our universe. It deepens it, turning existence into an exquisite rarity framed by infinity. It suggests that the cosmos is not a single painting, but a gallery of endless canvases. Some never seen, some perhaps impossible to imagine. Still, questions remain. Can we ever test this? If these bubbles never touch, if their light never reaches us, are they forever unreachable dreams? Some physicists search for gravitational scars left by collisions between universes in the oldest light in our sky. Others look to mathematical consistency or to string theory's vast landscape of vacua as indirect hints. But perhaps the multiverse will always be more poetry than proof, more meditation than measurement. A mirror we hold up to our own need to understand our place in the whole, to make sense of why anything exists at all. We may never hear echoes from other universes, but the idea echoes within us nonetheless, challenging the boundaries of imagination, reminding us that even as we sit still, the bubble around us floats through a deeper night. So when we speak of the multiverse, we are not just speaking of physics. We are whispering into a well of endless dreams. We are asking whether this life, this earth, this breath is all there is, or just one verse in a far greater song. A song with no final stanza, only echoes, and beginnings without end. Are we living through a loop of something far greater than we can imagine? That question echoes like a bell tolling through the corridors of time, asking not only about beginnings and endings but about the very rhythm of existence itself. For centuries we have imagined the universe as a singular event, a great bang from nothing into something, an arrow of time thrust forward into eternity. But what if that arrow curves back on itself, not as a mistake of nature but as a breath of cosmic intent? There is a theory known as the cyclic universe, or the eternal bounce model, in which the cosmos does not begin once and vanish into heat death, but instead pulses like a living heart, expanding, slowing, collapsing, and then through some unknown mechanism reborn again in a burst of creation, a new Big Bang rising from the ashes of the previous world. This is not merely poetic fantasy but grounded in deep cosmological models. Many physicists and thinkers have wrestled with this possibility in search of answers to the origin paradox. Roger Penrose, Nobel laureate and one of the great minds of our time, proposed the idea of conformal cyclic cosmology, where each aeon gives birth to the next in a timeless chain of transformations. The Big Bang is not the beginning, he once said, but the end of something else. In a similar spirit, physicist Paul Steinhardt, once a key contributor to inflation theory, shifted his views and championed a model of bouncing universes, where brains' higher dimensional membranes collide in an eternal dance. In this vision, the Big Bang was not the dawn of time but one beat in an infinite cosmic symphony. When we look into the cosmic microwave background, what some call the afterglow of the Big Bang, we see fluctuations, textures, patterns that may not be random noise. Some theorists have suggested these could be echoes from a previous cycle, fossil imprints left by a universe that came before ours. Of course, the observable universe sets limits on what we can verify. We are like ants at the shore of an ocean, watching the waves but unable to see the other side. Our instruments detect only as far as light has had time to travel, and beyond that lies darkness, not of absence but of unreachability. And yet, this darkness whispers possibilities, enticing us to reconsider everything we thought we knew. If the universe is cyclic, then what we call the Big Bang is not a singularity but a transition point, like the exhale before a new breath. And that means time itself may be far older than our equations suggest. It challenges our mythologies of origin, our theological metaphors, even our scientific humility, because it places us not at the start of something miraculous, but somewhere deep inside an endless spiral of becoming. We are not the first to gaze at the stars, perhaps not even the first beings to do so in this very patch of space-time. Could ancient civilizations have risen in a previous cycle, their atoms scattered and remade in the crucible of a new cosmos, their memories echoing in myths we now call archetypes? Could it be that Göbekli Tepe, or Atlantis, or the Vedic Yugas whisper truths deeper than we allow ourselves to entertain? Such ideas invite both wonder and caution, for we must distinguish between speculation and science. But when the boundary is drawn with grace, we find beauty in the space between facts and faith. Entropy remains a challenge in the cyclic view, for each cycle should accumulate disorder, and yet proponents suggest mechanisms of resetting such as quantum smoothing or entropy dilution in higher dimensions. These are not just hopeful tricks, they are real lines of research, pushing the limits of thermodynamics and quantum gravity alike. And what of the soul of such a universe? If the cosmos lives and dies and lives again, what is carried across those thresholds? What is remembered? Do constants remain constant? Or are they rewritten anew? Is there a deeper code, an underlying law behind the laws, like a melody echoing through different instruments? This vision reframes our mortality, not as a fleeting spark in a vast abyss, but as a note within a cosmic harmony that knows neither beginning nor end. As Carl Sagan once said, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself, and perhaps it must forget in order to remember again. So what lies at the edge of our observable universe may not be a wall but a veil, and behind that veil may lie not nothing but another version of everything. And if we listen closely enough, perhaps the silence between the stars is not empty at all, but filled with the deep breath of a universe waiting to be born again. Maybe we are not in the first cycle, nor the last, but part of a rhythm older than memory and more mysterious than time itself. So let us continue this journey not to find the end but to embrace the curve that brings us home again and again. If the universe is eternal in its cycles, then so too is our wonder. And, perhaps, in the great return of all things, we will remember that we were never separate from the stars, only dreaming we were lost. What if the edge of the observable universe is not a boundary at all, just a shadow cast by our own limited perception? A veil of geometry rather than a wall of matter, a silence not of absence but of deeper presence. Beyond the vast curtain of galaxies stretching 93 billion light-years across, beyond the shimmering echo of the cosmic microwave background that marks our earliest vision of time itself, some physicists suggest there may lie something stranger than distance or emptiness. A reality not bound by the fabric of space and time as we know it, but shaped by higher dimensional frameworks hidden from our senses. Perhaps we are like flatlanders, wrote Carl Sagan, beings trapped in 2 dimensions, attempting to imagine a third. And in this analogy, we are the shadows on the wall of a deeper cave, mistaking the limits of our sight for the limits of reality itself. If our universe is a 3-dimensional membrane, a brain floating in a past is higher dimensional space called the bulk, as string theory proposes, then what we observe is merely the cross-section of something grander and unseen. A leaf drifting on a dark river we cannot feel, except when its currents bend light in strange ways, or whisper quantum patterns we do not yet understand. The edge of our vision is not a physical wall. It is the horizon of light, a point beyond which photons have not had enough time to reach us since the birth of the cosmos. But does that mean nothing is beyond it? Or does it only mean we haven't learned how to see what's there? Michio Kaku once said, "The universe we see could be a slice of a higher dimensional reality, one that is curved in on itself, or infinitely large in directions we cannot point." These aren't metaphors but serious hypotheses grounded in mathematics and attempts to unify gravity with quantum mechanics. If extra dimensions exist, they may be compactified so tightly we never notice them, like threads woven into the warp of a cosmic fabric. Or they may extend infinitely, harboring parallel worlds like ours, each brain a floating page in a multidimensional book. What lies beyond the observable universe may not be distant in the traditional sense, but orthogonal, tilted along an axis of being we don't yet recognize. In this sense, the true boundary is not at the edge of space, but at the edge of perception. We measure time by motion, space by separation. Yet if the deeper structure of reality transcends these metrics, then what we call the universe is only a layer one bubble in a sea of unseen dynamics. Like a melody drifting through fog, what lies beyond may vibrate in harmonics that brush our own universe only subtly through quantum entanglements, dark energy ripples, or the anomalous alignments of galaxy clusters that hint at larger geometries still unfolding. There is no reason to believe the universe stops where we stop seeing, says astrophysicist Ethan Siegel, and every reason to believe it continues far beyond. If so, then all our maps are partial, all our certainties provisional, and our true position in the cosmos infinitely more mysterious than we dared imagine. But isn't that also beautiful? To live in a world that remains open, never fully charted, forever whispering the call of discovery? The observable universe is a sphere of memory and light, a shell of information carried on photons dancing across time. But it is not the whole story. It is the illuminated tip of something vast and unseen. Imagine if consciousness itself is the sense organ of this higher reality, a flicker of awareness pressing against dimensions it was never meant to understand directly. Like dreams of flying from creatures who have only crawled, our intuition may be glimpses of these larger structures. We feel them in the asymmetry of the cosmic web, in the silence between the notes of the universe's expansion. And so we return to the edge not as an end, but as a threshold. A place not of conclusion, but of possibility. If time is not fundamental, if space is emergent, then perhaps outside the observable universe is not merely more universe, but another kind of existence altogether. Something not bound by matter, but by meaning. Not limited by physics, but laced with potential. And we brief sparks of curiosity are the instruments through which that mystery begins to hum. Not with certainty, but with wonder. Not with maps, but with questions that reach beyond the stars. So let us continue to ask, what if beyond the edge lies not darkness, but a doorway still unopened? What if the edge of the universe is not an edge at all? What if it is a veil thin as silence drawn over something deeper than space itself? We often imagine the cosmos as a vast sea with distant shores yet to be reached. But what if the real frontier isn't distance, but understanding? Modern cosmology tells us we can only observe a mere 4% of the universe. The rest, an overwhelming 96%, is made up of dark matter and dark energy. Invisible substances that do not emit light, cannot be touched, cannot be seen directly. Yet their gravitational influence shapes galaxies, governs expansion, carves out the large-scale structure of the universe, like the hands of a sculptor working in shadow. As physicist Brian Greene once said, "We are all living in a universe that is mostly invisible." It is a humbling thought, one that forces us to consider whether the cosmos we see is only a projection, flickers of light on a deeper fabric we do not yet understand. Somewhere beyond our most powerful telescopes, beyond the redshift horizons and the faint whisper of the cosmic microwave background, lies a realm where our laws of physics may unravel, or give way to new symmetries entirely. There, the particles may behave differently. The constants may vary. The geometry of space itself might be twisted in ways we cannot picture from our narrow slice of reality. Sir Arthur Eddington once wrote, "Not only is the universe stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine." And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of modern astronomy, that we must let go of the illusion that we are nearing a final theory, a tidy box in which all truths fit neatly. Because what if no single hypothesis is correct in its entirety, yet each contains a fragment of the truth? Multiverse theories suggest our universe may be one bubble in a foaming sea of realities. Eternal inflation spawns new cosmoses endlessly, each with its own rules. String theory posits hidden dimensions curled into microscopic loops, imperceptible yet vital to the structure of existence. Loop quantum gravity attempts to quantize spacetime itself, to describe the grain of the cosmos as if space were woven from discrete threads. But none of them have yet passed the test of full empirical confirmation. None have revealed the totality of what lies beyond the veil. They are maps drawn in mist, each one reaching into fog with trembling lines of mathematics and metaphor. Still, they are precious, because they keep us wondering, reaching, questioning. And it is in the act of asking that science becomes something more than knowledge. It becomes a prayer spoken into the silence of the unknown. Some theorists suggest that space and time themselves may not be fundamental, that they emerge from something more primal entanglement patterns, information geometry, the hum of quantum fields, vibrating in mathematical harmony beyond our dimensions. Physicist Carlo Rovelli writes, "Time is not what we think it is. It is a story we tell ourselves to make sense of change." So if even time may be emergent, what does that mean for the edge of space? Could it be an illusion conjured by the limits of perception? A canvas painted only where consciousness shines its light? When we speak of the observable universe, we are really speaking of our relationship to light. What we can see is what light has had time to reach us since the Big Bang. Beyond that horizon, perhaps 46 billion light-years in all directions, lie regions where light has not yet arrived, and may never. Not because they do not exist, but because space expands so swiftly that photons cannot bridge the growing gulf between us and them. So then, what if the edge is not the end? What if it is the beginning of another layer of reality that we are not yet ready to perceive? As Neil deGrasse Tyson reflects, the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. And yet we try. We build telescopes and particle colliders and quantum theories because something in us yearns to see beyond what we can see. Something in us wants to touch the infinite, if not with our hands, then with our minds. Perhaps the truth is this: what lies beyond the observable universe is not just space, but the shape of truth itself, changing, unfolding, waiting for us to grow into its comprehension. And so we ask not merely what exists out there, but whether we will ever be capable of seeing it clearly, without illusion, without fear, without the need to simplify that which is grand beyond measure. For now, we must walk to the edge with wonder as our only guide. And perhaps, just perhaps, we will discover that the edge is not a boundary but a mirror, reflecting back not what is missing from the cosmos, but what is still missing in us. The courage to imagine a universe that refuses to fit inside our current knowledge. The humility to say, maybe every theory is a little bit right, and maybe none of them are. And the wisdom to keep asking anyway. What if the edge of the universe is not a limit, but a mirror, a reflection not of what we can see, but of how far we dare to wonder? As we drift at the shores of the known cosmos, staring into the silent darkness beyond the observable horizon, a deeper truth begins to unfold, one that speaks not just of stars and galaxies, but of the very nature of our curiosity. Each generation has faced this same haunting line in the sand, this cosmic hush at the edge of knowledge, and every time we crossed it, we found not an end but a beginning. Not a wall but a window, not a silence but an invitation. Carl Sagan once whispered through time, somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. And Brian Greene reminded us, the universe is not only queerer than we imagine, it's queerer than we can imagine. At the boundaries of space and understanding, we do not reach the edge of science. We reach the doorstep of awe. The observable universe is vast, 93 billion light-years across in every direction. And yet it is only the part we can see, the echo of photons that have had time to reach us since the beginning of time. Beyond it may lie untold galaxies, tangled cosmic webs, or perhaps an entirely different architecture of reality. But regardless of what lies out there, the very act of wondering, of pointing our minds beyond the veil, is itself a cosmic event. The edge is not cold or cruel. It is poetic. It beckons like the horizon of an ocean unseen since the dawn of stars. It whispers to the part of us that dreams during silence, that searches in sleep, that seeks stories in the dark. And in that seeking we become more than dust and atoms. We become witnesses of the infinite. Physicist Sean Carroll once wrote, "Our imaginations are not limited by our knowledge. They are what drive it forward." And perhaps this is the most human thing of all, to look into the nothing and find in it the seeds of everything. The edge of the observable universe is not a boundary in the physical sense. It is a metaphor for the limits of our instruments and the beginnings of our insight. When we reach those limits, we are reminded of something humbling and beautiful, that we are small, but not insignificant. That we are brief, but capable of timeless thought. That within our finite lives, the capacity to comprehend the infinite. And so we come to this moment, at the end of knowledge and the beginning of wonder, asking not only what is out there, but also what does it mean for us here. Perhaps the universe is not only expanding into space, but also into meaning. Perhaps every time we ask a question beyond the stars, we are not just exploring galaxies, we are exploring ourselves. As we end this chapter of cosmic thought, let us carry one idea like a quiet star in our minds. Maybe the story of the universe is not only unfolding around us, but also within us. Maybe history is not only written in light and time, but also in the soft hunger to understand our place in it all. And maybe, just maybe, we are the way the universe learns to see itself. If you believe that the cosmos still holds secrets waiting to be heard, if you feel the pull of questions too vast for any telescope, then let your journey continue with us. Subscribe, share your thoughts below, and stay curious as we sail ever deeper into the unknown.